And Nik Nanos joins us now to help break down the numbers. He's the founder and chief data scientist at Nanos Research. Nik, good morning. How are you?
Good, Roger. How you doing?
I can't complain. Let's talk about the overall numbers. The Liberals still leading, but the Conservatives have managed to close the gap a little.
Yeah, it's interesting, Roger. You know, in the latest CTV News Globe and Mail Nanos tracking, we have the Liberals at 43%, the Conservatives at 37%, only a 6-point margin between those two parties. The interesting thing, Roger, is that what we're seeing is that when Donald Trump is in the news and Mark Carney is responding to Donald Trump, it's like the Liberal advantage increases. We haven't, and that's what we saw last week. Now that for the last few nights, Donald Trump has not been in the news, what we're seeing is that margin, the margin which the Liberal advantage was as high as 11%, is now 6%. And, you know, that's good news for Pierre Poilievre, but it also tells us really the influence that Donald Trump has on the shape of the ballot race between the two frontrunners.
Which will make it interesting over the last few weeks of the campaign then as people try to make up their minds on who they're going to vote for.
Yeah, and you know, what's interesting is that movement in the last few days has been in Quebec from the Liberals to the Bloc, and in Ontario from the Liberals to the Conservatives. So there are different things happening in different parts of the country. Maybe the key takeaway here is that we take Donald Trump out of the equation and the playing field becomes much more level between the two frontrunners, Pierre Poilievre and Mark Carney.
Okay, so it is going to be interesting, is what you're saying.
Yeah, you know, and in another survey that we released, we asked Canadians when they were going to make their final voting decisions. And I think for some people, it'd be quite interesting. About 1 out of every 5 or 20% of Canadians said that they'll make their final vote decision in the last 72 hours. This is kind of like 72 hours. It's kind of like last minute holiday shopping, I guess, right?
Well, it just shows you the dilemma many people are facing, right?
Yeah, exactly. So yes, they might support one of the parties or they might like some of the leaders, but you know, if 1 out of every 5 Canadians are waiting till the very, very end, the last 72 hours to make their final vote decision, that means, you know, yes, one party might be leading today, but the reality is that it is fragile right across the board as Canadians wait to judge all of the federal parties and the federal party leaders.
Okay, and let's talk about those leaders. What are those numbers looking like right now?
Still a significant advantage for Mark Carney when we ask Canadians who they would prefer as prime minister. He gets a tip of the hat of around 50% or thereabouts, followed by Pierre Poilievre at 31%, and Jagmeet Singh 3.8%. Like, yikes! Like, he's way trailing his party. You know, just think the New Democrats are at 8% in ballot support. He's at 4% in terms of on the leadership front. But you know what this really says is that the Liberal fortunes are not right now, and them doing better is really not about the Liberal Party. It's not about the last 10 years. It's about what Mark Carney brings to the Liberals in terms of being different than Justin Trudeau.
Okay. Nik, thank you as always, sir.